Hello, this is Paulette Downey, and I have a message from the Lord. So today's message is guarding your heart by becoming vulnerable to God. When we are, I'm just going to kind of like set up a little scenario here. Uh, when we're experiencing any kind of hurt feelings, when we feel that people who are close to us have did us wrong. And um, if we do not go to the individual and express our feelings, like whatever kind of feelings that we're going through, whatever it is that we are experiencing, from whatever has been thrown at us, if we do not express our feelings to the individual, let them know exactly what we're going through, what it is that we are feeling, and like try to get some kind of resolution or have it resolved in some way, we're going to find another outlet in order to express, in order to get those feelings out. So if we don't actually go to the individual, say what's on our hearts, say what's bothering us, say what it is that we felt they did to us, that has hurt us in any way, or if we're trying to get answers from them, if we don't go directly to them, we are going to find another outlet in to let it out. So that could be by talking about the individual to somebody else. And that can also be in a form of us keeping that in ourselves, so keeping those feelings in ourselves. And as a result of that, our hearts becoming more callous, our hearts becoming more hard, more bitter, more angry as a result of not getting that out, as not releasing what it is we are feeling, what we feel, whatever kind of offense it may be, whatever kind of wrongdoings that we have experienced, or what we feel we have experienced. And so this is the same thing with God. This is the exact same thing, like what we go through with individuals in life, when we feel people have done us wrong, or when we feel they have done us wrong, or when they actually have done us wrong. And if we don't confront it, if we don't deal with it with the individual, or if we're going to find another outlet. So with God, it's the exact same way. So in order to protect our hearts from becoming callous, in order to protect our hearts from becoming bitter and angry, we have to release what it is we are feeling, what it is we are going through, to God, in order to keep and basically becoming vulnerable to Him. That in order to protect our hearts, from becoming bitter, from becoming angry, which once your heart becomes bitter and angry, then that can manifest itself in many different ways. So like I said, the individuals who feel like they were offended or something, was done to them. And if they don't get it out in that outlet, they are going to find another outlet. If they're going to gossip about the person, if they're going to take vengeance on the person, or they could, like I said, internalize it and then take it out on other individuals. And then that could become very destructive in the life that they are living, because if they internalize it, if they internalize every offense that comes at them, and if they don't express it to the individual or in other ways, they are going to express it in their behaviors and how they live their life, and the choices that they make, how they present themselves. It is going to come out one way or another. And if it doesn't come out by directly dealing with it, how it's going to come out in most cases is going to be ugly. Like it's not going to be a pretty way in which we let the feelings that we are having, the hurts that we are having come out. It will, and most likely, be in a way that will be destructive to our lives and how we live our lives and the relationships that we build with other people. So, this is the same way with God. If we do not go to Him and express whatever it is that we are feeling, if we feel for some reason that, okay, like you don't want to go to him and that you can't talk to him in a certain way and you're uncomfortable, and he's God, so you're not going to say anything to him, that's going to come out in another way. And it will affect your relationship with God. It will affect your relationship with people. It will affect how you show up in the world. So it is very important. It is really, really important that you develop a relationship with God where you are comfortable dealing with God, where there is a comfort level that when you are going through feelings, when you are dealing with your feelings and your emotions, that you are comfortable enough to, when things aren't working out in a certain way, that you are comfortable enough to go to him and basically tell him what you are feeling. Now, of course, because first of all, before I go into that, because he is God. He is God. He knows what we are going through. He already knows what we are going through. So it's not like by us not saying anything to him, he's not going to know. He already knows. But in order for us to receive any kind of release of what it is that we are feeling, and any kind of closure and any kind of healing, we do need to actually go to him and express what it is that we are feeling in order to get answers to, and to let it out, so that it doesn't create calluses on our hearts, so that it doesn't create bitterness, so it doesn't create coldness towards God and towards our lives, and basically forming any kind of destruction. So it is important that we develop a relationship where we are comfortable going to God with matters of the heart and with things that are on our hearts. Now, at the same time, we must revere God. So when we are going to God, of course, we're not going to swear at God. Of course, we are not going to insult God. Of course, we are not going to talk down to God. We must always revere our Lord, our God in heaven. So it has nothing to do with still not revering him and not having, fear. But I'm not talking about a fear of expressing what it is you're going through. I'm talking about a fear of knowing that he is the sovereign God. He is the creator of all the universe and all of the heavens. And at the end of the day, we have to show respect to God when we are coming to him. Now, I know for myself, I have, at times, and I've gotten mad at God, and, I've, basically let him know that I'm mad and that I'm angry, with situations and with, certain situations that I'm in, or if things aren't going out the way I had hoped. And depending on how angry or what it was that I said, at the end of the day, God is always right. He's always right. He knows everything. And, there were times, and so when, I let it out. And then when I would calm down, of course, then I would go back to him. I would apologize for my outburst, understanding that he knows everything, but letting that out. Now, I know for myself that when I would come to him in, in my upsetness and my anger and my crying and whatnot, he normally wouldn't say anything to me. Like I normally would not get any kind of response from him simply because he knew at that time I was too emotional to really receive what it is that he wanted to share with me. So normally it's usually just me, like just letting it all out kind of thing. But several hours later or a day later, when I calm down and when I go back to him in sincerity and tell him I'm sorry, but this is how I'm feeling and whatnot, and when he knew that I was able to receive what it was that I was concerned about, then he would gradually start to talk to me and kind of let me see what was going on. Now I have my Bible. I have my Bible. I have scripture that I'm going to talk on about this. But it is very important for us to develop a relationship where we feel comfortable going to God about our problems, about what we're upset with, about, like things when we're looking at it and we're looking at what's going on in our world and we're saying, God, why are you allowing this to happen? Why am I in this situation? What's gonna happen next? When we are faced with things that we just want to know, God, where are you? What are you doing? We need to be able to have that comfort level of being vulnerable enough to express to him exactly what we are feeling so that we can get some kind of resolution, and by him, letting us know exactly what's going on, what his answer is, and the works. So I'm gonna actually read off. Like I said, I have a number of scriptures from men who in their weakest times they called out to God, and these were men who were very, very close with God. Like these were men of God who were very, very close with God, and they just expressed what they were going through very honestly, and as a result, God responded to them. So the first one here I'm going to go into, it is, actually I'm going to talk about Moses. And this one, you know what, I think I'll just talk on this one more so. And this one was Moses, and this is in Deuteronomy, and it's chapter 3, and it's verse 23 to 29. So this was Moses' request. So, of course, at this point, we're in Deuteronomy, so this is the last book of the 5, books of Moses. And at this point, this was when Moses was told, him and Aaron were told that they would not be crossing over into the promised land because because Moses struck the rock when he was supposed to speak to the rock for water to come out for the community. So at this point, Aaron had already died, and Moses was just, kind of like finishing up. And Moses, because Moses had a really good relationship with God, and Moses was not afraid at all to express his feelings to God. At the same time, he knew how to revere God and fear God. But Moses was not at all afraid to express his feelings to his God, who, Moses saw him face to face on a daily basis in the tent of meeting. So he was unafraid to express what he was going through and how he was feeling. So he asked God, after God had already told him, you're not crossing over because of what you did, because of how you handled yourself, how you comported yourself. And Moses then said to God, he said to God, like, you're such a great God and everything, and there's nothing that you can't do. Will you please allow me to go over into the promised land, to see it? And I'm paraphrasing. And so God said, enough about this. This is resolved. Do not bring this up to me again. It has already been determined you're not going over. But Moses was comfortable enough, even after God had told him, no, you're not crossing over. Moses wanted to go into the promised land so bad. It was so sad that he didn't make it, because after all the work he did, after what he put in to get the Israelites to that point, to that position where they were crossing over. And the fact that he didn't make it, it was so sad. So, and he more than anyone in that group wanted to go make it into the promised land more than anyone. And he didn't get it. So, but he came at one more attempt, to try, hopefully hoping that God would allow him to cross over. And God said no. So sometimes when we go to God and we have these requests, and when God says no, no is no. No is no. And I know for myself, when I've gone to God about certain things, and I can think of a number of things right now, but when I have gone to God and I would ask him, like a plea of help at times, and he would bring help to me. He has done that, where he would actually bring help to me. But it wasn't help in the way I was expecting it. Like if I wanted a situation to end and I'd say, God, I want this to end. Help me. I'm not going to make it if you don't make it end. God would provide me the help without making the situation end. So he provided me the help that I needed in order to sustain from going under or not being able to make it. But what he did not do is end it the way I had wanted him to. So, and even though, I would prefer something to end, but if God doesn't want something, a situation, to be terminated, or if God is saying no to something, no amount of pleading, no amount of crying, no amount of dancing, no amount of mourning, there's nothing that you will do to change what God has purposed. If there is a purpose to what God is doing in your life, everything is a purpose when God is in your life. And when you are following God and you're under the will of God, there is purpose to everything in our lives. So if God is willing something to happen in your life or to not happen in your life, if it is his will, there is not one thing you can do to change that will. There's nothing that we can do. There's nothing we can do. So, and he's going to make it known that there is absolutely nothing you can do. It's going to be this is my baby. This is my time. It's my timeline. It's my time schedule. Get comfortable. I will do certain things here and there to help you, to sustain you, to do this, to do that. But it's going to be on my timetable when things start and when things end. So, but you need to go to God if you need the help. And if you're frustrated with a situation or with a person or an individual, in order for him to help you. Now, had I not gone to him for help, maybe he wouldn't have helped me. But you have to go to God and God will help you. And God will also let you know, like I said, God will let you know that this is what I'm going to do in this situation. This is how I'm going to work this situation, but this is how I'm going to work it. It's not the way you had wanted it, but I have answered your request that I will not let you, like fall or collapse or whatever, So he's answering the prayer, but he's answering the prayer in his will, the way he wants it to be. So we have to go to God and ask him, help me with this situation here. And he will, or what's going on? Why aren't you doing anything? Why are you allowing this in order to receive an answer? It may be an answer, it may be no, yes, relief, whatever. But we have to go to him. I will tell you that some of my most impactful encounters with God have been when I have gone to God, when I have actually gone to God and made a complaint, made a plea, telling him, I don't like this. I don't like what I'm going through. I don't like this situation. Why do you have me in this? Why aren't you helping me? All this and that. And, yes, I don't like this. I understand you're God. I understand you know what is right. I understand you can see the bigger picture and I can't. But aside from all that, I don't like this, or I don't want this, and coming to him with a plea. And I've had some of my greatest encounters with God, with actually hearing the voice of God and God telling me exactly why he is allowing what he's allowing, or why he is preventing what he's preventing, or why he is allowing a certain thing to go a certain way. Some of my greatest encounters by becoming vulnerable to God and expressing what I am going through and what I am feeling, and being very honest about it and not trying to sugarcoat it, because he already knows what I'm going through. So by me being vulnerable has allowed me to hear the voice of God and hear exactly what he's doing. And of course, he may not give me, he doesn't always give me all the details. Sometimes he does give me, quite a bit of details, but he will set the stage. He will show me certain things as to why I'm allowing this. He won't give me the complete picture, but he will let me know, okay, I'm going to help you in this way. This is what's going on here. This is why I'm allowing this to happen. This is why I've prevented this from happening. He's actually given me details about why he has stopped certain things, why he has allowed certain things, and why he is saying no to something or yes to something. But that is because I have allowed myself to become completely vulnerable. And when I go to God, not putting on, not being pretentious, but at the same time revering my God and fearing him, when I go to him. And so when I go to him and I ask him, what is the, basically pouring my heart out, then he gives me answers. And so, for the whole big picture of it, it may not be the answer, or should I say, it may not be the resolution that I had hoped for, but it is working all out in my favor. Like what he is doing is working out in my favor. But had I not gone to him, then, and just be angry at what is going on, then will fester into bitterness, will fester into anger, will fester into calluses forming on my heart, then from that, me becoming more angry with God. And then from that, me becoming more distant from God. And then from that, me taking all of those feelings that I have and finding another outlet, finding another venue, slowly but surely pulling myself away from God because I am not bringing God into the mix of what I am feeling. So by not going to God and becoming vulnerable to God, I am pushing myself away from Him. Not all at once, but gradually I am pushing myself away from Him, becoming more angry, more bitter, more frustrated because of my situation, because of what I feel is an injustice that God is doing to me. I'm not allowing it. And then I start pointing my fingers at God. Then I start getting mad at God. Then I start blaming God. And so then I'm going to take all these feelings that I have and it's going to go somewhere else. I'm going to transfer it somewhere else. And that's for all of us. So to prevent all of that from happening, becoming vulnerable to God allows God to minister to us and bring healing to our heart. Because when we're honest with God, then what He's going to do is He's going to reveal to us exactly what is going on. He may not give us all the details, but He will provide some things. Sometimes, like I said, with God, sometimes with some situations, like he will provide me quite a few details. He may not provide the whole big picture, but as time goes by, He keeps filling me more and more and more, and filling me in more and more and more. But that's because of the communication I have with God, being very honest with God. I'm very I can be a very blunt person to begin with. So I'm very blunt with God. I am very, very blunt with God. I'm very honest with God. But at the same time, like I said, I revere God. I fear God. I fear my God. But I don't fear Him in a way to be honest with Him because He's my Father. And, any parent, you should be able to express what you're feeling without insulting your parent, without, cursing them out or anything. But at the same time, you should be able to express what you are feeling. He's my God. And so I am able to express myself. And I've made it a point of always expressing myself with God, so that things like that don't happen. So, the bitterness and the anger doesn't happen. So when, so then when He's telling me things and it's like, okay, then, now I understand. Now I get it. Now this is making sense. Now, I'm good. I'm great. It may not be the way I want it to be, but I understand big picture, your will. It's all about me being in His will and us being in His will. And so with us being in His will, it's about what He wants. It's not about what we want. It is never about what we want. But yes, we are human beings and we feel. And when we're going through certain situations that are not pleasant, when we are dealing with certain people who are not pleasant, when we are going through things that are not nice and they don't feel good, we're human beings. We feel and we hurt. And so we have to take it to God, regardless of the fact that it is about Him and it is in His will. And He understands that. And He wants us to come to Him because that is the only way we can protect our hearts from developing calluses and anger and bitterness by letting it all out to Him. And by letting it all out to Him, it is like a release. Just like when I said, when you are dealing with, people and when someone has done you wrong and you let out what they've done to you, you tell them what they've done to you. And then if the person that you are telling is a person who is receptive to actually hearing you out without coming back and insulting you. Then, the release was nice. And then, you hear, okay, their side of the story and why what happened. So, okay, so that is one example of what I talked about Moses. Now there is another example, and this one I actually am going to go into this one. This one is about Moses, and it's Numbers. So this one is Numbers. Bear with me. Sorry, it's Numbers 11. Numbers 11. Bear with me a second. So this is number 11. It was a quail from the Lord. And it is chapter 11, 10, 15. So 10, 15. So this was basically, with, the people basically complaining, complaining about the food and everything. So I'm just going to go through it. We start reading it. So Moses heard the people of every family wailing at the entrance to their tent. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this trouble on your servant? What have I done to displease you, that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give them birth? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms? As a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised on oath to their ancestors. Where can I get meat for all these people? They keep wailing at me and wailing to me. Give me meat to eat. I cannot carry all of these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, please go ahead and kill me. If I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let do not let me face my own ruin." So Moses is basically saying, you know what, just do away with me. This is too much. What I'm going through, the burden, like what you have placed on me is too much. And so Moses cried to God about what he's going through, about the people and the wailing and, like these aren't his people and, just kill me. And he's crying out to God for help. And what does God do? God helps him. God helps him because he cried out to him for help. I should know, what, now I'm going to have to find it again. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to find it again because I'm going to, just briefly, show you exactly how he does. And I mean, this is when he got the 70 men. And he got the 70 men, and he took some of Moses' anointing, which that says a lot about one person, and he places it on the 70 men to do some of the work that Moses was doing. So bring me 70 of Israel's elders who are known to you as leaders and officials. The people, have them come to my tent of meeting, that they may stand there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take some of the power of your spirit that is on you and place it on them. So that's exactly how he answered his request. Now, had he not pleaded to God and told God that, you know what, this is too much for me, kill me, he would have been walking around with that, and he may have just dropped dead as a result of it. But because he was vulnerable enough to God, because he had that kind of comfort with God, he took what he was going through. He took what he was going through. He took what he was going through, and he.
Miss, you hear me? It's too loud, and I'm going to be in the adjoining room, and I'm going to be on a conference call. So
you're very.
Yeah, please tune down. Thank you.
And as you could see, I was in the middle, and someone just interrupted me. She's not even sitting, and she interrupted me. I've never had that before. I apologize. I really apologize. It was completely rude. And so anyway, um, as I was saying, so as you can say, so Moses, he so God did that. I lost my train of thought. I am so sorry. This lady, she's not even sitting, and she just felt the need to make her presence known to me. She knew I was videotaping, and she just didn't care. She wants me to have respect for her. Anyway, I apologize. I just can't believe that someone would be actually that rude. As I was saying, he basically took the spirit of Moses, which says a lot about Moses, and he basically placed it on him. This is going to cut off. It really is going to cut off. I should have known that this was going to go longer. Yes, so, but had he not made that complaint, had he not gone to God with that, and be very honest and very sincere about what he was going through. God knows if Moses would have even made it, like to the end. Um, you know. So anyway, so this is the importance of crying out to God. Of when we are going through stuff, being vulnerable to God, being just so vulnerable to God in what it is that we are going through, and taking it to God. Because by doing that, we are relieving ourselves of the stress, but also we are receiving answered prayers. There have been times when God has told me, it is, I answered your prayer because of your cry to me for this, because of what you said to me about this. This is why I've answered your prayer. So it is very important that like I said, we revere, but we don't need to be proper and say, okay, well, you know what? I can't express exactly how I am feeling because he is God. No, we express how we are feeling. We express how we're feeling, like Moses expressed how he was feeling. There was nothing wrong with what Moses said. And as a result, and God didn't say there was anything wrong with Moses, God did not get upset with Moses expressing himself the way he expressed himself. God said, give me 70 of your Israelite elders so I can place your spirit on them. That's how he responded to Moses. He did not get angry with him because of the way that he responded. So it is very important. This is why it's so important that we express what it is we are feeling to prevent ourselves from being hurt. So not only from a heart position, but also from physically and mentally. This could have affected Moses greatly had he not cried out to God and been very honest and sincere about exactly what he was going through. So now Joshua, with Joshua, when the walls of Jericho came down, and what God had requested of the Israelites when they were going to take over Jericho was that they were not to touch the plunder. So they were to do away with all of the people who lived in the land, but they were not to touch the plunder. But there was one person. There was one person by the name of Achan. Let me just go here. This is now Joshua 7. Let me just 7. I'm sorry. 7. And it is, I'm going to just start. Yeah, so Achan sin. So Achan basically, he took the plunder. He took the plunder. And as a result of it, when they went, when the Israelites went to fight Ai, they lost the battle because of the plunder. So at this point, now I'm going to read to you what happened as a result of that. So after Joshua learned about the loss to Ai, Then Joshua tore his clothes off and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same and sprinkled dust on their heads. And Joshua said, Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of Jordan. Pardon your servant, Lord. What can I say? Now the Israelites have been routed by the enemies. The Canaanites and the other people of the country will hear about this, and they will surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name? The Lord said to Joshua, Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Israel has sinned. They have violated my covenant, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possessions. So Joshua basically went to God, telling God, why did you even bring us out here for this? Like, because Joshua, of course, did not have the big picture. Joshua did not know that plunder was stolen. He did not know that. So he was going to God with his ignorance as like, why did you even bring us here? Like, why did you have us, like shamed like this? And now your glory, your name is all going to be messed up as a result of this. So you saw God's response, but God did not, like, he wasn't hard on Joshua. He just let Joshua know exactly what happened, get up, and like basically we're going to sift through this and get to the bottom of this. So had Joshua not went to God and said what he said to God, then they wouldn't have